Hello and welcome back to another video. Today we're in my workshop and we're going to continue making our pieces to become a wooden knight. Now a couple videos ago we made this shield out of a scrap piece of plywood. I painted it and it came out really cool. So this time we're going to make a matching sword. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the build. Now, one thing I definitely want to continue for this build is to use some pretty basic tools and materials. For example, last time the most complicated tool we used was a jigsaw. This time we're going to use a little bit more of an expensive, complicated tool that not everyone has. I will give you a substitution when we come to that point. But for the material, it's just going to be a simple 2x4. This is a scrap piece. It's not super long. I'm sure I'll be able to get a decent sized sword out of this, but I gotta first really get this material thinned down a lot. This 2x4 is 1.5 inches by 3.5 inches, and that's way too thick for me to start actually carving the sword out of. So this is where we're going to grab our first really complicated tool and the most complicated tool we're going to be using for this entire project. Now that tool would be my surface planer, and it's used to help get two surfaces, the one that's on the bed of the planer and the one that's coming up to the blades in the planer, parallel, or at least the same distance apart, and really help flatten things out. So I'm going to be using this tool to help really thin down the 2x4. Now, if you don't have a thickness planer, another option is to use a hand plane. These are very cheap, you can find them online super easily. And what they do is they have a blade, they have a flat sole here, and that's helps you shave things down. You've seen me use these a lot. You can actually see the video where I restored this one up in the corner. And then your third option is just to start off with thinner stock that's already the thickness that you like. You can find them at Home Depot, Lowe's, or any kind of those big box stores for home improvements, as well as, if you can reach out to a local lumber yard, and I'm sure they'd be more than happy to help you out, get someone new into woodworking. Believe it or not, I did not think about having to clean this up now. All right, that's better. So we now have the piece of wood that we're going to use for this brought much smaller down. It's much thinner, as you can see. There is a little bit of a bow in it, but I don't think that's going to be too big of a problem. But yeah, so that's taken down from about 1.5 inches thick, now all the way down to just under 3/4 of an inch thick, So let's go ahead and draw out a design on this piece of wood. I've got this chalk line here where it's a blue string that's covered in, it's a string that's covered in blue chalk. And if I hook it to the middle of the board over here, You can see some of the chalk coming out. Bring it all the way down over here, and then put a little bit of tension on it. I can snap it, and that gives me a center line all the way down the board. We're gonna use that to sketch our design. Okay, I've got the shape of the sword drawn out using a combination of the chalk line, those are the blue lines you see going all the way down the blade that way, as well as the pencil. It's very easily sketched out. I have it clamped onto my workbench, and it's fun to do that with it. And now I'm going to take a jigsaw, I'm going to start cutting out the shape that I have drawn out. All right, so the blade of the sword has been fully shaped up to my liking. I think it's got a pretty interesting look to it. It's not, of course, exactly replicated of a real sword, but I like the way it looks. I think it's basic enough to where you can tell, yeah, this is a sword. I'm gonna end this episode here. Next time, we're gonna be taking care of the handle, guard, and pommel of the blade. You can see I left enough room to maybe carve the pommel out of the same piece of wood or attach a new piece. And of course, I will be carving up a handle that feels really nice in my hand. This small little dowel does not feel nice in the hand at all. Now, if you'd like to see the next episode of where we make the handle for the blade, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way you get a notification exactly when I upload the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a like. If you really love what I'm doing here, feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.